And you're listening to Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 87. Today, we're going to be talking about the book of Boba Fett, The Gathering Storm, Chapter 4. Unfortunately, Little T couldn't join me today, but you definitely have to check us out on the Twitch. We've been starting to stream a little bit more, and it's been a lot of fun. We've been doing a little Madden 2022 and having fun with that. So we're doing this like tournament, and we are going to be kind of going through all the teams. And currently, Trent is just kicking my butt every day. So it's been fun doing that. So definitely check us out on Twitch. We're trying to do a little bit more of streaming. So hope everyone is having a great week, and we're going to just dive right into Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. This one has been probably, out of the 4 so far, this is probably my favorite. I think it finally got to a point where we got to see a little bit more of Boba Fett. Obviously, we've had great character development. Maybe not the way we thought it would go, but I really felt like out of the 4, this has been the strongest in as far as just like overall story and where this season is going. It finally kind of took that turn that we're looking for, and yeah, it's super fun. So hopefully this is the last flashback that we got, but this one just goes right into it. He's in the Bacta tank, and so we know that that is not only a plot point, but also a plot device. And so we are trained that when he's in the Bacta tank, he's having a flashback. So this opens up right away with him kind of just going out of the Tusken Raider camp and just trying to figure out, okay, what's my next play here? What am I trying to do? And that's where we see the flares. And so it's interesting, when I first saw this opening shot, it's like, oh, maybe it's a starship, but then it took me a second, and even Trent was like, what's that? I was like, that's the flares from Mando. And so we get to see Boba Fett walk up onto Fennec Shand, who got obviously shot in the gut and left for dead. And so my only little quip here, and even Trent said this, is like, where's the spur sound? So in when we watched in season 1, was it that Boba Fett walks up onto Fennec, and we wouldn't get that confirmed till season 2, but in this one we heard the spurs, but in Book of Boba Fett, when he walks up on Fennec, we don't hear the spurs. Very sad. They should have just kept it in there. It would have been cool. So so we have that happened, but basically what we got is so he walks up on Fennec. Obviously Fennec is in no shape to go, and so he Boba decides, okay, I am going to figure out what I can do. And so he goes to Mos Eisley, and he goes to a tattoo parlor. No, he doesn't. He goes to a, I guess it would be a cybernetic mod shop. And it very much is set up like a tattoo shop. If you ever got a tattoo, it's very much like set up like that. And obviously we got some kids out there with their cybernetics, and we got this guy with some eyeballs and all this other stuff. And Bo walks in with Fennec, and obviously Fennec is unconscious, and the dude's like, what do you need? We don't do walk-ins, appointment only. I mean, you've been there, done that with any tattoo shop. Or yeah, so it's just fun kind of seeing it that way. But he lays down some credits, and he's like, all right, I'll do it. Why don't you leave with that? So Fennec gets her cybernetic kind of modification, so gets the whole waist kind of modified for the cybernetics. And it's kind of interesting. It's hard to tell because it's just sand, but I think he almost takes her back to where she got shot or something. It almost seemed like that. But she wakes up and she's like, what did happen? And he's like, hey, you owe me. I saved your life. And so he says this a couple times through the the episode, I am Boba Fett. And she says Boba Fett's dead. Yeah. So he needs his ship. So here we go. Here's the whole controversy. He does not say Slave One. He says fire spray. It's a thing. It's okay. It will happen. We'll have to move past it. It's okay. It's fine. It's a ship. It's Boba Fett's ship. So in Legos, it's Boba Fett's Star Wars ship now. Fire spray, attack vehicle, whatever. It's fine. If you want to call it Slave One, call it Slave One. It's okay. So it will always be Slave. Is the name, but they don't say a YT 1300 cargo ship, which is essentially what they're doing with the Slave One. They're calling it the class of the ship or what the model is. That's a thing. I mean, there's so many different names for ships that they don't do. It flips backs and forth, but some of those iconic ones like the Slave One, Millennium Falcon, that kind of thing, they don't. Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's almost like, I mean, like Luke Starfighter. I mean, it's like, that's a T-65 ICOM X-Wing class starfighter or whatever. So you can like get really nerdy, but there's only a couple like iconic names in the Star Wars universe, and although Slave One is not mentioned in any of the films, it's just always been. Obviously the Millennium Falcon is really the only, I mean, like even Darth Vader's flagship, the Executor, is never mentioned in Star Wars or in the films, just all the ancillary materials. And so Slave One falls into that. It's just been one of those things like, just always been, and there's a couple other ships that have some names, but it's really, it's just been in the mythos for such a long time. And I think that's why people are salty about it. It's Slave One, yeah, but that's the thing for another day, I guess. But here we go. We know that apparently Bib didn't want to sell Boba Fett's ship. He just kept it in the hangar. And so originally, we do see Boba Fett before the Fennec thing. He kind of scouts it out and is like, ooh, it's kind of crowded, but now he's got help with Fennec. Fennec sends in this cool like little Darth Maul kind of probe droid thing that scans the area. We get the cool, we get a interesting layout of Jabba's palace, and we understand that it's much bigger than it looks from the outside, and there's a lot of guards. So maybe that could also explain how Chrysanthemum just kind of walked into Boba Fett's thing and no one set off alarms or anything like that. It's a thing. So they go through the sewers. They get into a kitchen area, which I love this little bit. So we have a like, I want to say it's what's the torture droid in Return of the Jedi. He looked a little bit smaller, but I don't know if that's just how the camera was or if it was just the angle, but it's I think it's EV9D9 or something like that. And then we have a chef with multiple knives. And if you know Jon Favreau, he has a cooking show on Netflix. My wife, Jen, watches it all the time. And so he's really into cooking. So we got to throw that in. And I'm sure he's making some tip yip or whatever he's making over there. But yeah, he's getting ready to feed the crew. And that is definitely the General Grievous sound when he waves all his knives around, and it's so much fun. And yeah, it's just super cool. But he takes them out, and then they call in the Rat Droid, and the Rat Droid is a super fun callback to Clone Wars. I don't know, it escapes me what kind of droid it is, but it's the rabbit ear droid, and it's super fun. I don't know. I think it's an LEP droid thingy, but I'm not sure the exact model. I could be off. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But it's a cool little droid with, like, I call him the rabbit droid, but he is the rat catcher. I love it. But it's not a rat. It's Boba Fett, and Boba Fett struggles to get the LEP or the rat droid catcher. And yeah, it's kind of self-destructs, I guess, or it hits the deactivated button, like, hey, I don't want to die. And so he just hits his button and he's gone. And it's like, okay. So now they are infiltrating. They are trying to get into the hangar. We have I want to say it's a dual gonk droid. It might be just a pair of gonk droids, but they are gawking around. We get to see the fire spray, Slave One, and then we got Mandalorian guards. Something's up. They're checking it out. They take them out. Then we get the whole alarm, and here we go. We got Nikitos, we got Weequays, we got Gamorreans, and it's just fight. It's great. It's fine. It's Fennec's kind of, her gun is not, her is a long-range sniper, and she's taking these short-range shots, but she's taking people out. It's fine. Boba is trying to fire up the Slave One. It's going okay, but then the shields are you can't really see, so we got to get the door open, and the cannons are jammed. It's a thing. So I was hoping for a bumped head here and the ramp just a little bit, but it didn't happen. It's okay. It was, it was an Empire, and in Empire, it's just a gag to carry on from the stormtrooper that hit his head, and then that's continued in Episode 2 when Jango enters the Slave One. I was just hoping, come on, one more time, just have Boba hit his head, or Fennec hit her head. I don't know. It's fine, but it didn't happen. It's okay. So, but yeah, they finally get all the people off the Slave One, and Fennec shoots the counterweight, and the door opens, and they shoot out. Hooray! And so, Boba's like, hey, all right, let's get rid of, I can drop you off at the nearest spaceport. She's like, nah, I'll hang on. Okay, so now Fennec's like, I'll see what's going on. Let's see what's happening. And so they, I'm trying to think what happens next. It's time to kind of settle some scores, I guess. So the first thing, he goes after the biker gang. I love this little bit. He just flies up right behind him and takes him out, and even missiles the leader. This was fun. And they Fennec and Boba kind of share a nod, like, yep, just take care of business. I love that little bit. It's so much fun. It's so cool. It's just a great little bit of, Boba settling some scores, if you will. And then I think they park it for the night, as far as like, okay, that's good. Set up a fire. And so she's like, what's the plan? And she's like, well, I need my armor. Fett's like, I don't want to hunt anymore. I'm not really want to be a bounty hunter. And he even says, like, hey, why should I take orders for people that just want to get me killed, and I should be calling the shots, and his offer to her is offer to her is basically like, hey, let's start something, and I can protect you. I will protect you, and you could work for me, and you get a cut. And so Fennec is not totally up for that, but she's like, oh, we'll see. Maybe I'll hang around for a little bit. Then they go, or it might be flipped. Sorry, I only saw it once, but they do go to the Sarlacc because Boba wants. He's like, I feel, he's not complete without his armor. He wants to, and she's like, well, it's gone. It's like, well, not with Beskar. So that was always a room for debate if Boba Fett's armor was true Mandalorian armor, if it's Beskar or not. It does degrade a little bit, but we also we know, like from Mandalorian, that it does break down eventually, and maybe they have kind of like a purity thing as far as like what kind of Beskar they use, all that kind of stuff. So we know that it does degrade, but there was been quite the debate about his armor, if it was really truly Beskar. But it says here it is Beskar. It won't digest in the Sarlacc pit. So I love the visual of this. He basically puts there's not much room for the ship to go down the Sarlacc, but it's enough to look. And so he brings out the flashlight and starts trying to look through the Sarlacc, and Sarlacc ain't dead. And so the Sarlacc is now, it's confirmed, it's all there. It has the beak, like in the special edition of Return of the Jedi, and it starts pulling the Slave One down. They are in a pickle. Fennec drops the seismic charge into the mouth of the Sarlacc, which was fantastic. It's my favorite effect in Star Wars, and it blowed up. So Sarlacc is dead, and hooray! And so now he spelunks down into the belly of the dead Sarlacc to find his armor, and it's not there. So we kind of know that, and we kind of understand how that turns out in Mandalorian, but at least now we got some context of like, he did search the Sarlacc, not there, got to find it, and so that is what he's looking for. So then I think we get back to the beginning of, now he gets out of the back tank, and the droid's like, hooray, you are fully healed now, Boba Fett. And so I think that is the last time we will have a flashback. Again, totally get it. It makes sense, but, it was like, okay, how many times are we going back? But it is I do like it because it is a creative way. It's just, this is the fourth time we're seeing it. So it's like, okay, can we do something else? And it looks like, hey, we are caught up in the present here. And so they're like, okay, let's get this going. So I think after this, I think what they're trying to do, if I'm not mistaken, is that he's going back into town to see what's going on. He knows that he needs some muscle, so he's going to go into town, see what's going on. Back to the Sanctuary Cantina. We get to see some Trandoshans playing, and they're having fun. Love this. Black Chrysanthemum's back, giving them a stink eye. And again, if you have any context, a little context with the Troshendans and the Wookiees, they don't go along very well, because if you remember in Clone Wars, Troshendans have hunting parties, and they like to hunt Wookiees because they are a formidable opponent. These Troshendans, on the other hand, are not really the bounty hunter type or really the hunter type. They're more of rich kind of people type things. And they're a little soft. So there they are having fun. They're enjoying their drinks. And there is Black Chrysanthemum drinking some space beer and just not liking it. So he decides to take some action. Yeah, and Santa Claus, you get it. Yeah, he's got some brass knuckles, electrified brass knuckles, and takes and mops the floor. I love this bit. I love Chrysanthemum. It's great. And then Jennifer Beals' character, what is her name? Gosh, what is her name? Garza Fwip. Garza Fwip. She's like, hey, appreciate it, love it. You were a great gladiator, blah, blah, blah. Please, let's just let everybody go back to their drinks. Kind of like an Anakin line, like, hey, let them enjoy themselves. And he rips off their traditions. One arm, not two, just one. So I thought that was so cool. Boba Fett's just checking us out, like, oh, okay. And, but she does say Max here, like Max, start the music. So that is Max Rebo. I can't say this enough. I want to know his story. Can we get something on Disney Plus about Max Rebo? Like, how the heck did he survive the sail barge from exploding and getting out of there? I want that story. That's the story I want to see on Disney Plus. Can we get, Max Rebo in a Bacta tank, get some flashbacks here going and seeing what is happening? I just love that bit. I love Max. It's great. I love that he's at the sanctuary. Garza is awesome. I love that character. She is just fantastic. It's great. So here we go. Boba Fett's like, yo, I need some muscle. You come work for me. Finally, we get the last bit of the trailer, and this is where we get to see them sitting at the table. And so we got the Aqualish. Again, Aqualish is like Walrus Man, Ponda Baba. Then we got the Trandoshans, which are the lizard people. Famous one is Bosk. And then we got Klatuans, I believe. Yeah, Klatuans. And they are another species that we see a lot of. Basically, you got Nikitos, Klatuans, and Weequays. There's one other one that are kind of the main henchmen for Jabba. But yeah, we got those kind of aliens, but the Klatuans are kind of like almost like a dog-faced alien, I guess you would say. And so we're having dinner. Basically, the proposal is like, yo, let's work together, take out the Pikes. They agree to not interfere, but they're not really going to help Boba. So Boba understands too, like they also understand that like they can't have the Pikes in here because it will be bad for business. So I don't know. Maybe they'll team up soon, but really, it's in their own self-interest in a sense. And then he's like, Shan's like, hey, we need to. I got plenty of credits. We just got to hire some muscle. And Fennec kind of makes a comment of like, it says you can, she kind of says, I believe she says something like, you can buy muscle, but you also, if you know where to look. And then right at that point, we get the Mandalorian theme. So, will the real Mandalorian stand up? Do we get Mando next week? I would say it's a high probability of yes. Will Mandalorian be the equalizer that Boba Fett needs? Maybe, but he needs a little bit more muscle than just Fennec, Chrysanthemum, and Mando. But it's going to be cool. It's going to be like the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage coming together, having some fun, and making Mos Espa, Mos Eisley, Tatooine, Pike free. So I'm really, really excited for this. Again, really great episode. Totally enjoyed it. It was well paced. We had a good nostalgia part, and I'm like I said, I'm glad that we're kind of past the flashback points. Doesn't need to go back to tank, and now it's speeding up to kind of set up something cool for the next 3 episodes, which is totally cool. Digging it. I'm hoping it brings people back, because I think they were a little turned off by how this was going with Boba Fett. But there you have it. Again, I don't know, from a rating system, I would say, I think Trent and I joked, like, how many T's would you give it? I would definitely give this like 7.5 T's. It was really good. We have, forgot a little bit about the Bantha bit, but Boba's a Bantha lover. He loves the Banthas. He loves animals, and that was kind of, we saw that last week with the Rancor, and yeah, I kind of can't wait to see if he does have a Rancor. So maybe we see Boba riding a Rancor. We got Mando. We got Chrysanthemum. We got Fennec. I don't know. Could be a thing. There's a lot of different possibilities that this way can go. There's the whole, like if we're looking at like rumors and stuff like that. I mean, we have Omega still can be in play. Technically, that would be Boba Fett's sister, because she is an unaltered clone of Jango, and that is Omega. So could we see an older Omega at that point? Very cool. Again, our swoop bike rider was not, geez, why am I blanking our name? Dr. Aphra. Wasn't Dr. Aphra? It wasn't a Boba Fett anything. I mean, in the EU, Boba Fett has a daughter. I don't think they're going to go that route, but they could definitely go the route of Omega. That could be something that they could explore. Another surprise that they could do is Rex still alive? Maybe? That might be something. We could see a live action Rex, which would be totally, I'd be totally okay with. There is definitely some hinting at Crimson Dawn. So do we finally get Kira? I mean, that would be a really good thing. Yeah, it'd be cool to see that. We won't get Darth Maul because Darth Maul's dead, but we could get Kira. That would be a really nice tie in. I mean, there's still a little room for Dr. Aphra if they want to show her. I don't know really if that's a hard connection, but yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot can do. I mean, I definitely want to see, it's great that we're seeing Boba Fett from a different angle, but I also liked, he came in so strong and savage in Mandalorian, and it's kind of a step back a little bit with this stuff. I hope we see, again, I need to see him fire the rocket pack. I need him to fly around the jetpack a little bit. Those are things I just want. And the little grappling hook that he uses on Luke. I want to see that stuff. It'd be cool to see it one more time, Mando was using his flamethrower all the time. Love to see little wrist rockets and knee rockets one more time from Boba. Be cool to see that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities out there. But we only got 3 episodes, so it's very hard to say, is it just establishing his, realm on Mos Espa, or is Bo-Katan, like another thing you could think about is like, is Bo-Katan going to show up? I don't know if that makes much sense, but there's definitely still a play for Mandalore. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities, I just think if they're smart, they definitely want to kind of, if you think about this, like the Filoniverse and all that stuff, they want to definitely try to bring in something to tease for another show, similar to what they did in Mando season 2. I really feel like that ending of chapter 7 will be something that, like, hey, check out this next year or something like that. It's definitely 7 in the books. Thanks again for listening to another episode. You can find us on the socials, Big T, Little T Podcast on Instagram, BLILT Podcast on Twitter, and then here on twitch.tv/Big T, Little T. And there you go. Hey, if you want to comment, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcasts, you can do that. And we would love to read your review on a next upcoming episode. If you do that, we got some free